In this video, guys, I want to talk about the Icon ratchets now available at Harbor Freight. Now, the Icon ratchets are ratchets that are essentially designed to compete with the products coming off the tool trucks. So, for example, the Snap-ons, the Matcos, the Mac tools. So the question is, in looking at these tools, do they actually do that? And I would say, just looking at the fit and the finish of these tools, I would say they're certainly in that ballpark. You don't have, for example, the tool marks on here or uneven chrome plating. You know, if you compare it to a Pittsburgh ratchet, so here, of course, is the Icon, and this is the 3/8 ratchet, which is the R2S model. You know, if you compare that with a Pittsburgh, this is a Pittsburgh Pro ratchet, you know, you can see that the fit and the finish, if you hold them in your hands, is going to be better on your Icon as opposed to your Pittsburgh. Now, the Pittsburgh is still very good for what you get, you know, to get a ratchet for 12 bucks or so. It's a really good ratchet that gets the job done, but it doesn't have quite the premium quality feel that the Icon does. Now, like the Pittsburgh Pro, the Icon also has the lifetime warranty, which is a really great warranty system, and I talk about this on some of my other videos, where, you know, if you're using the tool and you break it, you just go into Harbor Freight, hand them the tool, and they will give you another one. I've had to do that in the past, and I've had absolutely no problems with their warranty system. It's actually a really good system. Now, where the Pittsburgh Pro has a 72 tooth mechanism, and it's a really good mechanism. I don't have any complaints about it. The Icon has a 90 tooth mechanism. So you're going to get a little bit more of a tighter swing arc when you're working with the Icon than you will the Pittsburgh. This, of course, the Pittsburgh has the push button on off. So to put sockets on and take them off, you just push the button. Whereas with the Icon, it's just, you just press it on. And it's very important to get this right. And Icon and Harbor Freight did get this right, because if you do it poorly, it's going to be too hard to put sockets on and take them off. But here, it's just about what you want. It's not going to flop off, but it isn't super hard to press these on. And they go on with a real nice snap. And just listen to that 90 tooth mechanism. So it's real nice, real smooth. The one area that I do have a bit of an issue with is the selector switch. So, for example, the selector switch is in an area that, unlike the Pittsburgh, it's not recessed at all, like right in here. This is a little bit recessed, which means the selector switch is going to sit lower into the back of the ratchet. This protrudes out just a little bit more. So if you are in a situation where you need, because this is fairly thin, it's only, I think it's 7/8, it says right on the package here. It's, 9/16. It's only 9/16 wide right here, but if you're in an area where you're trying to get on a bolt and it's very narrow, it could potentially be that this part protruding out, the selector switch, causes problems, because it does stick out just a bit more than I thought it would. It's not a major issue really, but it doesn't sit in a recessed area like this Pittsburgh one did. If they do a redesign in the future, they might recess this area and then set the selector switch in that area to make it more flush with the back. I mean, if they did an Icon, you know, 2.0 version, look to see if they do that as kind of an upgrade. But as I said, the selector switch clicks back and forth very nice, no problems. Also, the selector switch has the advantage in the Icon that it's consistent with the premium tools. In other words, if you want to apply torque in that direction, you put the selector switch in that direction. Boom. That's how it works on like a Snap-on or a Matco or other premium tool products. If you want to go this direction, you just put it in that direction. Boom. That's the opposite of the selector switch for the Pittsburgh. Now, one issue you have, or someone might have, is the question is, how strong is this ratchet if it's a 90 tooth mechanism? Because the higher tooth count you go, you're not going to have as deep a groove in the teeth on your anvil. And so, you know, I see some of these ratchets that are like 120 tooth mechanism, and really I'm not sure they're going to stand up to really strong amounts of torque, high levels of torque applied to the ratchet. So let's go ahead and open this thing up, and let's take a look at this thing, guys, and see how strong this mechanism looks. Now, to open this mechanism, you're going to use a T8 Torx bit. And you're just going to remove the T8 bits, T8 screws. And when we do that, guys, we take off the plate, we can see that this is, interestingly enough, it appears to be a single pawl system. And the single pawl basically traverses from side to side like that. That single pawl makes a ratchet incredibly strong because all of the teeth mating with the anvil. So I have to hand it to Harbor Freight and Icon. They have really done a great job creating a ratchet that's going to be naturally very, very strong. So I would not be surprised to see if this ratchet during torture tests does exceptionally well. Now, one thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and take off this base plate if you get this ratchet to look and see if there's adequate amount of lubrication and grease. In my ratchet, when I pulled this out, I pulled the anvil out, and there was a lot of lubrication, a lot of grease inside the ratchet. So I was actually very, very impressed with that fact. Sometimes when I bought this Pittsburgh, you know, I had to add grease to the ratchet mechanism because it didn't come with very much grease at all. But that's not the case on the Icon. The Icon had quite a bit, and you just want to make sure yours does as well. Now, one tip is this. I would just look to see if it has grease in here, because if you pull this out, there's a spring underneath here that shoots forward, and it's a little bit tricky to get the pawl back in and down. It's not a big deal. If you just take one of the tools you can get, like one of these pick tools, and basically if you just hold down the ratcheting the pawl, okay, like that, you can actually do it with one hand where you go like that, okay, and then you're going to pull it down and then place the anvil in and just pull this out and push it in at the same time, and it'll snap back in. A little bit tricky, but no big deal, just something to be aware of. The nice thing is just the way they built this ratchet, when you take this plate off, it's not like the whole thing springs out on you. Some ratchets kind of come out on you, like they'll have dual pawls, and one of the pawls, the springs will fly out and all kinds of stuff. That's not the case with this one. So I really like that fact on this one. And just look at that. You can see that grease on the inside of the plate. So that's really nice. And it's also impressive that no grease is leaking outside of the ratchet itself, even though there's generous amounts of grease inside the ratchet. It's a nice sign. Now, if you don't have a T8 Torx bit, one of the things you can do is get the security bit set at Harbor Freight. It's only $5 and even less with a coupon. And this will have a T8 bit inside of it that you can use. This thing's great to have too, just on hand. Anytime you encounter any kind of security bit that you want to remove or take off, this is really, really helpful. So just a little plug for that as well. Okay, guys, so just to wrap it up, certainly I think that the claims on the package, talking about a 4% swing arc, having a precision machine gear to provide smooth ratcheting action, withstanding heavy torque. I think that these claims are all true because, for example, we've seen that single pawl mechanism inside, which is going to be real strong. It does have a very low profile head. The finish is excellent. And so I would say that this is a very good ratchet for the person who's willing to spend a little bit more, because this was about $35, who's willing to spend a little bit more and expects a ratchet to be able to provide a lifetime of service for them. So anyway, guys, just wanted to share this with you. Hope you guys are doing well. Appreciate you guys a ton, and I would really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing to my videos. I want to crank out more content for you, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.